Hello everybody and welcome to the Cancer 2025 horoscope, which is super exciting. This is for Cancer Sun, Moon or Rising, but I will say if you're a Cancer Rising, it's going to be so much more accurate, so just bear that in mind. So I'm going to go over the key themes for the year and then break it down month by month as well. So hopefully this is not going to be too long for you, but you will get like the gist of the year. So key themes for you Cancer. You take it the top spot for me for the luckiest sign of the year. There's just a lot of things that make me think this is a good year for you. So it's a year of getting on the right path for a dream career, focusing on study and travel, and ultimately having very lucky experiences when Jupiter enters your sign in the summer. So it's going to be quite good for you. So let's kick it off with January 2025. So also I just want to mention, you're probably going to be a little bit luckier anyway because Pluto is out of Capricorn now and in Aquarius. So as a cardinal sign, you probably like had a bit of a tough time and now you're feeling like the light. I can see the light, it emerges for me. So you might already feel like, oh, it's like amplified by 2 because you're like, yeah, I feel so good about it. So January 2025, Mars will be retrograding in Leo. So from the 6th of December 2024, Mars was retrograding in Leo and it goes on until the 6th of January 2025. Mars is the planet of war and aggression and sex drive, and Leo is very masculine and sunny, powerful, optimistic. So together, this is a very sort of David Goggins, I'm a warrior, I will not quit mentality, which it brings a lot of frustration, anger, of course, but can be used for good if we channel it into very sort of passionate means. In house number 2 for you, this is the house of income and finances. So you could have frustrations around these themes, and specifically you need to channel the passion of Leo and Mars together into something positive. So if you want a higher salary, for example, to boost your income, then use that passion for that direction. You could get frustrated over income and finances for whatever reason, that you don't make enough or you can't cover this. You do get frustrated, but again, that's when you sit down and think, enough's enough, I have to change this, and then you use that as a positive direction. Then we have Venus in Pisces in your 9th house. So on the 2nd of January, Venus will leave Aquarius and enter Pisces, which is a much more dreamy, delusional and compassionate love sign. So you could find more harmony with your study and travel opportunities now, and also feeling very sort of philosophical and spiritual and a little bit more, you know, at one with Gaia and the universe. Mars will then retrograde in Cancer in your 1st house of self from the 6th of January to the 23rd of February. Mars in Cancer is really not the best place to be because Mars is very aggressive and Cancer is highly sensitive. So together, this is a screaming and crying, crashing out kind of energy. You could find as a Cancer yourself that you become much more sort of like on a wire and you snap easily, or you get angry and then immediately like a couple of seconds later you start crying and you're like, why am I so sensitive? Oh, I don't like this. It's just a lot of energy that's like frustration, especially in the 1st house as well, about your appearance, your identity, the way you're coming across, how people are trying to perceive you in the world. You feel misunderstood. So that may cause you to act out and be a bit impulsive, but it's all about, you know, being on that level and just kind of taking time for yourself. And if you feel the tears kind of boiling up, just be like, I'm going to go away for a bit. Then we have the nodes changing. So the nodes change to Pisces and Virgo from Aries and Libra. So this means that this will restore harmony and balance to the way that you communicate with others and the kind of crazy stories that you tell to people, but also study and travel. They kind of might be linked together with that. Your purpose becomes a lot clearer now. So North Node has been in Aries, and that set you up for the life that's waiting for you. But now in Pisces, in that North Node, you can experience a travel opportunity destined for you in that 9th house. So this is much more, I am meant to be traveling, I am meant to be studying, I'm meant to be gaining knowledge, I am meant to be interpreting ancient texts in Egypt, you know, that kind of thing. Like, you're meant to be doing those things. So you might become a little bit more entrenched in the idea of spreading your wings and becoming less focused on those, especially with you have such a focus on career this year as well. It might be linked together, like you want to have more time to do these things, or you want to link it together so your career is able to link to your purpose in life. Then Uranus will be direct in Taurus on the 30th of January. Uranus will go direct in your Taurus 11th house, so expect a bit of unexpected shake-ups, as it says, with friendships and community. And if you had any kind of experience of these kind of issues from sort of May to September last year, 2024, these may repeat now, or the lessons that you learnt during that period may come in handy now. February 2025, Venus will enter Aries in the 10th house of career for you on the 2nd of February. Venus entering your 10th house of career brings excitement and passion to your job and real growth opportunities, but Venus is debilitated in Aries, so it might not be as harmonious as it would be in another Venus sign, for example. So this is fun energy, and again, great for working and getting noticed at work, and, you know, appearing much more sort of like favourable to your boss or your clients, but it is much more sort of like, it's not as good as it could be. Then Jupiter will be direct in Gemini, your 12th house, on the 2nd of February. I love Jupiter, my favourite planet, because I'm a Sagittarius. So expansive opportunities can pick up again now with the 12th house of mental health, feeling much more joy and ease and luck with your mental health. So you feel like you've cracked the code on how to feel content and happy with things. Great for manifestation because of the subconscious element of the 12th house too. So good energy for starting something new with luck. Reinventing your appearance maybe, becoming a bit more spiritual, and having success with your mental health generally. Then Mars will be directing Cancer in your 1st house of self. So this is identity and self. You are going to be really pushing your frustrations onto others, and they bounce it back to you, especially with appearance and purpose in life. And because again Mars is debilitated in Cancer, it's highly sensitive, so it's just not great energy for it. Again, it's just a bit more emotional than normal, so just be careful around that time. Then March 2025, Venus will be retrograding in Aries in the 10th house on the 1st of March. So this brings out existing issues in your relationship. Venus retrograde, we really think about our relationships and the way we've been working with them, beauty, what we want from our lives, how we appear to our relationships. You get annoyed by other people very easily, and because this is in Aries as well, it can be a little bit more angry. Again, Venus is debilitated in Aries, so you might need to be a bit more flexible emotionally, which might be hard because of that Mars direct in Cancer, but you know, we move. But this is a great time to focus on yourself, forgiving yourself, your progression in your career, using your accomplishments in your career as evidence that you can do it, right? So it's a good energy. And Mercury in Aries will also be happening on the 3rd of March as well. So it's a bit of ice water. Could be like, oh, just a bit of a tense time. Could be passionate as well. Again, we can use these frustrations for good. It doesn't have to be negative. Then we have a Virgo lunar eclipse in your 3rd house on the 14th of March. Very strong, disciplined energy. This could be a time to finish some important projects. Good time to have a social media detox as well. Release any feelings of laziness. Wrap up a writing project maybe. Or reach out to an old friend that you've been wanting to connect to for a while. Then we have retrograde central, so Mercury retrograde in Aries in the 10th house on the 15th of March. Mercury retrograde brings communication and technology problems and delays. With Venus also retrograding in Aries, this can be a very challenging period, a lot of angst and aggression. So it's a good time to focus on Zen, calmness. Especially you might want to be careful with sending emails at work, reading things, dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and, you know, just kind of filtering your thoughts before you say them, really. And then Venus will be retrograding in Pisces in the 9th house on the 27th of March. So a bit of old energy with relationships coming back here with that Venus energy. Subconscious trauma could emerge with this as well. So focus on the love that you really want and use that delusion of Pisces to manifest a bit of attention. You know, be a bit delulu. Be like, oh my God, he loves me not. He loves me. You know, be a bit more, you know. Then Mercury will be retrograding in Pisces in the 9th house on the 29th of March. So alongside Venus in Pisces, we have that highly spiritual, karmic and intuitive energy around love and communication. So be open to all the lessons this brings, especially in that philosophical sign of the 9th house as well. You could find there's a lot of delays with travel here, or that you're not able to get things done on a deadline. Then Neptune enters Aries in the 10th house on the 30th of March. Neptune is the planet of clarity and spirituality, and then Aries really gives passion and fire to that clarity. But this may cause difficulty in really seeing the truth. Neptune also signals the spread of something as well, and with both Neptune and Saturn in Aries, this gives me energy of just the current geopolitical position right now in the world, and then Saturn in Aries. It's not the best thing in the world, but it probably won't affect your sign, just everyone else's, just everybody. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that that doesn't escalate. Then we have an Aries solar eclipse on the 29th of March in your 10th house. Aries solar eclipse will trigger energy in which you need to take action with issues arising, so passions and challenges. You might want to release some powerful energy, some grief here. And instead of actually ending things because of the retrograde, you might want to reframe things, especially in that 10th house of career. So you might not want to like leave work, for example, or completely close something down, but you might want to reframe the way you think about work. It could be like, well, I'm doing this because I want to travel, so I'm earning money here. Or, well, I'm lucky to have a job in this economy. You're reframing it rather than just outright saying, ugh, I don't want this anymore. You could also be, starting new projects at work as well with the actual solar eclipse here. Then in April 2025, Mercury will be direct in Pisces in your 9th house on the 7th of April. So communication is much easier now with that Mercury direct. There's less delays. You can actually move forward. You can communicate your feelings with ease. Which will help you build up your connections as well. In this 9th house of study and travel, you probably won't have any delays traveling anymore. Study partners and people that you meet on your travels could be much nicer now. And you might also feel that you can communicate at work much easier now as well. Venus will be direct in Pisces in the 9th house on the 12th of April, so you might experience better manifestations with love and feel a bit more open to dreaming and hoping around love. So you might also feel less burdened by having to keep up appearances and kind of spread your wings. You will feel much lighter now with this Venus and Pisces together. It's so dreamy and lovely. And in that 9th house, you just feel a lot more spiritual and much more of a lover girl now, or a lover boy. And then we have the return. So Mars back in Leo in the 2nd house at 18th of April. So think back to any issues you had from November to December 2024. What were they? So if you're watching this right now in December 2024, which you probably are, what are the issues you're having right now? How are you dealing with them, and how did you deal with them? You can tie up these loose ends a little bit with more energy and motivation. And in the 2nd house of income and finances, there is some kind of energy around financial investments here. So be careful with that Mars energy in Leo about frustration, heightened emotions around this, and getting too sort of annoyed at yourself and others. Venus will be back in Aries in the 10th house on the 30th of April. So you can bring any unfinished business back from March and kind of deal with it head on here. Be a bit more enthusiastic with love and energetic as well. Again, Venus is debilitating Aries, but it is very sort of energetic, a bit sort of like I'm going to grab you by the neck and take you against the wall kind of energy. But you could also be a bit more impulsive. So it's one to balance, really. But again, good energy for getting noticed at work. Then May 2025, Pluto will retrograde in Aquarius in your 8th house on the 4th of May. You may have experienced some intense transformations around investments and also trusting others or physical relationships, but now these slow down and you think a bit more on these internally. So you'd see less outward external transformations and you're more focused on this in an inward level. Then Saturn enters Aries in the 10th house on the 24th of May. Again, Saturn is the planet of constriction and lessons, and Aries is aggressive and war. So this is a kind of energy of world leaders taunting each other. Saturn in your 10th house is boundaries and growth with your career and protecting your peace. So this is you saying, I have to have boundaries at work. I don't want co-workers being my friends. I want to leave at 4 p.m. I'm going to leave at 4 p.m. Or you saying, I am not going to be killing myself working overtime for this business. It's not what I'm doing. I'm setting a boundary. And Aries is that forward-moving energy, but Saturn is kind of the rope around you. So you may feel some issues with freedom here, and it really feels like you are pulling forward and the noose is pulling backwards, and it just feels a bit like, I feel really constricted. In June 2025, Jupiter enters Cancer in your 1st house on the 9th of June. This is what is going to make you probably the luckiest sign of the year. So beautiful energy. Mercury will also enter Cancer the day before. So great communication and expansiveness and identity, appearances, and also finances too. So Jupiter is going to be in Cancer for the next year, so this will make you the luckiest sign. You'll also have like I don't want to misquote this because I don't have it to hand, but I'm pretty sure in August there's a Jupiter-Venus conjunction, and it's going to be a nice energy for finding a really good partner or finding that kind of soulmate. It's a really nice energy. Mars will enter Virgo in the 3rd house on the 17th of June, so fabulous energy for productivity, especially with that sign of Virgo. It is still Mars, so there will be frustrations, but you can use those frustrations with communication, anyone who's ghosting you, and kind of change that into being more productive and being like, whatever, I'm going to be motivated to work. I don't care about this. Okay, for some reason I've completely missed July 2025. I don't know why, maybe I skipped 2 things and I was doing these back to back. Anyway, July 2025, Neptune retrograde in Aries in the 10th house, 4th of July.
So Neptune retrograde brings that really foggy energy, and in Aries, that's like fighting against the wind. So it's really good to stay tapped into your intuition. In the 10th house, focus on the path you're on with your career. This might cause a little bit of sort of like disruption to your clarity and way of thinking. So a good time to meditate. Then Uranus enters Gemini in your 12th house on the 7th of July. Uranus is settled in Gemini because it's the communication house and it's a higher octave of Mercury. So this will bring out of the box ideas, very kind of innovative with your mental health and thinking about how you can battle any attachments or addictions. It's a good way to open your mind to new ways of thinking and then new stories kind of around who you are as well.
Then we have retrogrades again. So we have a Saturn retrograde in Aries in the 10th house on the 13th of July. This restricts our options even more. It can make you feel very trapped with your career. So we can use the Aries energy to tap into creativity and to remind ourselves that there are several options out there. You might think, oh my God, the Saturn restriction here is like, has me thinking I've only got 2 options, but actually I've got like 7 or 8. I just have to really focus on it. So it's a good time to evaluate your freedom during this time, in career specifically. Then we have a Mercury retrograde in Leo in your 2nd house of income and finances on the 18th of July. Great time for second chances with somebody because that Mercury retrograde, exes may come back or you may get an income stream that comes back. But be careful with finances and spending too much or making a very risky investment when you probably shouldn't. August 2025, Mars will enter Libra in the 4th house on the 6th of August. So Mars and Libra are complete opposites. So this is about understanding others to the fullest here. Great energy and drive for home and family, using the passion of Mars to enhance these because, you know, it's that 4th house which Cancer is connected to. So you could find a little bit more harmony in this than other people, but you could also, you know, really kind of dig deeper those frustrations and work them out in a really nice way as well. Then Mercury will be direct in Leo in your 2nd house on the 11th of August. Mercury direct can kind of get things back on track with finances. You can communicate things with ease, and also you'll have delays with income now as well. So if you're like waiting on money coming in. And use this alongside the Mars in Libra to manifest and communicate like a new salary, for example, or a new income stream. Because Venus will also enter Leo in the 2nd house for you on the 25th. So that will enhance the harmony around finances too. In September 2025, Saturn will enter Pisces in your 9th house on the 1st of September. So Saturn will now stay in Pisces for the rest of the year. So any Saturn in Pisces kids can kind of revisit any lessons for the last 2 to 3 years. I am a Saturn in Pisces kid. I'm not happy about that, but I'm also happy that it's not in Aries anymore. So I'm kind of taking it. But Cancer, you can focus on the constrictions that affect your study and travel goals here, and kind of like the manifestations and delusions you want around that. Like you're like, hey, I kind of want to work from home, like in like Colombia or something. I just want to have like a more freedom here. And then you're thinking about that more. Then Uranus will be retrograding in Gemini in your 12th house on the 6th of September. So this now will slow down any of those innovations or new ideas you had around mental health or manifestation. So, and also reinvention of self as well. So you may have a bit of a shock or change you don't want. You could receive some news that's not necessarily bad news, but it really shocks you. And you're kind of like, I have to rethink things a little bit. Or you could also just feel lazy and in a rut, especially with that mental health house. Then we have eclipses. So we have a Pisces lunar eclipse in the 9th house on the 7th of September. So end and release, a great time to let go with capital letters of learning something that no longer serves you. This could be really cathartic for you, actually. Quite a spiritual thing for you too, especially that 9th house. Then we have a Virgo solar eclipse in the 3rd house on the 21st of September. You can start a new project and expand your plans. This is much better for starting something new than the lunar eclipse, for example. So it's a good time to start a project or reach out to somebody you've wanted to reach out to and you've been thinking about it a lot. October 2025, Pluto will be direct in Aquarius in the 8th house on the 13th of October. So, you know, you can focus on those major transformations with investments and trust and intimacy now, and you'll see the outward focus on this. And again, we're not really worried about this too much because we've got this for like the next 20 years. So, you know, we can finally move forward with it. But like, you know, it's not like, oh yes, I finally go direct. It's like, yeah, you've got this for a while. Don't worry about that. Neptune will be entering Pisces in your 9th house on the 22nd of October. Neptune and Pisces are like together. Spiritual meets spiritual. It's a nice energy. You can revisit any issues here with study and travel and then focus on some clarity. Great time for sort of meditation and tapping into your spiritual side even more, especially with that 9th house. Kind of looking at the philosophy of life a little bit more. You might have a bit of an existential crisis around this time, actually. And you might be a bit more sort of like, why am I here? what's the point? Not in a bad way, but just like, how interesting. Why am I doing this? What would this lead me to do? Like, how does this benefit my life? Like, you just think more like that. November 2025, Uranus enters Taurus in your 11th house on the 7th of November. So innovation and shake-up with friendships, any changes to your kind of security around that, and how you experience joy with your friendships, which have been in effect recently, can be worked on. You know, you can try to reframe a friendship, for example. It could be quite interesting. You have a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius in your 6th house in the 9th of November. You may feel like you can't communicate or open up to somebody. You kind of want to run for the hills. Exes revisiting could make you feel very trapped. You could experience delays with co-workers, for example. You could have an injury, or you could have mixed values with somebody. It depends. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is just not as bad as other Mercury retrogrades, so it probably won't be too nasty. But you definitely could have some issues, on co-workers. Then we have retrograde version 400. More retrogrades. Yay. You actually have a Jupiter retrograde in Cancer in your 1st house of self in the 11th of November. So this will have us evaluating any projects and dreams from this year, specifically around your identity and look for you, maybe relationships as well. But we'll also be able to look at our dreams and what we're destined for as well. So we're less so going after our dreams and changing our identity, we're rethinking it and evaluating it. Then Mercury will be retrograding in Scorpio in your 5th house of dating and creativity on the 18th of November. This is very passionate with that Scorpio and then the 5th house. So exes could return with full force. You could have issues around communicating and dating, or you could find that creative projects or hobbies just are delayed, or, you know, they're stalled. Then we have a few directs, thank God. Saturn direct in Pisces in the 9th house, 27th of November. This can give us a tiny bit more freedom and a bit more clarity, so you'll feel less trapped with travel opportunities and maybe what you're learning and studying. And you feel a bit more open to manifesting new opportunities as well. This is you setting those boundaries, and really, again, I was going back earlier in the video about, you know, setting boundaries around travel maybe, and saying I kind of want to leave at 4 p.m. at work, and I want to be able to travel, and I have to have this annual leave. Like, you're setting boundaries around that with Saturn. Then Mercury will be directed to Scorpio in the 5th house on the 29th of November. Good communication for dating. You know, you could have a really good date with somebody. You could, you know, be kind of getting out the talking stage a little bit and saying, you know, I think this is actually going really well. You can move forward. You know, you can make those good decisions with dating, or if you're not interested in dating, you could be opening up to somebody or moving on with a hobby and making a nice decision with a creative project, which you then move on to in the new year as well, as we're like coming up to the last month of the year. So last month of the year, December, Mars retrograded Leo in the 2nd house again in 6th of December. So yeah, this will bring irritation again, anger with matters of finance in that 2nd house. So try to focus on communicating your needs in a calm way. Again, use that passion and drive for your income. And just because this is at the start of the year and then also at the end of the year doesn't mean you've made no progress. Please don't think that. You definitely made progress. It's just more that you're revisiting some kind of feelings around things. And then Neptune will be direct in Pisces in the 9th house, which just gives us some solace because it gives us some clarity. Neptune, Pisces, again, beautiful energy in that 9th house of philosophy and spirituality. So your study path will become much clearer to you now. You'll seek more travel experiences. You might have a much needed epiphany that kind of really gives you the energy for 2026, and you're like, I really needed this epiphany that tells me what path I'm meant to be on, especially because you're in that North Node Pisces in the 9th house as well. You're like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I'm receiving epiphanies on this journey, and it just feels like I'm meant to be here on a soul level. You know, it feels good for you. So overall, Cancer, one of the luckiest signs of the year for me for various reasons, not just because of that Jupiter in Cancer, but you will have just a good energy with career. Your genuine purpose in life with the North Node in Pisces for the 9th house is lovely. It's very expansive. It's just quite chill, really. It's not like grind. It's like, I'm actually living my life right now, you know. So you're focusing on that, and then you'll have those lucky experiences with Jupiter as well. So generally, Cancer, this is a really great year for you, like probably one of the best. So get excited, get hyped. It's a good year for you, and it'll be really interesting to see the kind of opportunities that you get in the summer when Jupiter enters your sign as well. And I also had a really interesting thought today, because a lot of like car manufacturers, like car brands, are actually Cancer, like Tesla, for example. I wonder if Tesla will have a real boom in the stock market during the summer. I don't know. This is not me giving financial advice, by the way, like I'm terrible at stuff like that. But I'm just interested because it's doing really well now, and I just thought, I think Elon Musk is a Cancer too, so I just thought, interesting. I wonder if that will have something happens that gives it a bit of a look, because Jupiter, the expansion, Cancer. Who knows? We'll see. But hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, then I would kindly ask you to give it a like. It'd be very nice if you do, but you don't have to. And I will hopefully see you for another video. So I hope you have a lovely 2025, and thanks for watching.